But according to medical examiner Brian Blackburn, the timeline of events leading to Michelle's death were very simple in his mind. According to him, April 14th at 8 p.m., Michelle's last seen alive. April 15th at 12 a.m., Michelle decided to go skinny dipping in the ocean when she was then attacked by a great white shark. On April 15th at 3:20 p.m., her body is found near the Sunset Cliffs. And that is the end of the timeline, which there's a lot of holes there. After Brian officially reported Michelle's death as accidental, police just moved on from the case. And can't really fault them here because, again, they are going off of the medical examiner, the coroner, what they found. And based on everything that they knew at the time, it seems like this story lines up that maybe she did go take a swim and was attacked by a shark. But it's just hard because, like we heard in last week's episode with the Cherokee Nation's authorities, they're like, we assume everything is a murder, and we rule that out before we move on to anything else. But again, I think based on the wounds, she'd been in the water, it does make sense to go this direction at first.
I mean, at surface value, it does seem that way.
On another occasion, the priest allegedly showed up at Michelle's house when she was the only one at home and sexually abused her. The attack was so traumatic that Michelle would later tell her boyfriend Eric that at one point she blacked out, and when she woke up, it was over.
God, that is so terrifying and beyond upsetting.
Teresa described how Michelle started dating a boy named Bob in high school, and Father Ingalls would try to break them up. He would tell Michelle and her parents that Bob was no good for her. He would stare Bob down when he had come to the church or rectory, and overall, Father Ingalls was extremely possessive of Michelle. Teresa and her family would like to believe that Father Ingalls only raped Michelle once, but there's truly no way of knowing how many times he may have harmed her. Regardless of the number of assaults, Michelle began to act out at home and pick fights with her parents, which is a common behavior of children who have suffered a sexual assault. Around the same time, her boyfriend Bob would sometimes bring Michelle home from dates early and tell her parents that Michelle had fainted. Afterward, Michelle began having fainting spells at school, and Michelle's mother took her to multiple doctors, but nobody gave her any clues as to what was happening to her daughter. Now, I think it's important to note that in this article, Teresa provided some more context as to why her parents reacted the way that they did, because I think it's easy to get angry at them and blame them for this happening to Michelle. But she goes on to explain that while Catholics are encouraged to question their faith, they are not encouraged to question the institution. She continues by stating, quote, "My parents, for whom the church is the bedrock and foundation of their identity and lifestyle, followed accepted Catholic principles when it came to this new allegation. They even took it to the parish priest, Father John Ryan. With his aid and the aid of a former San Francisco district attorney, everyone worked together to resolve the situation within the church. Ostensibly, this was a way to preserve her family's privacy. No one suggested at any time that this was a criminal matter that rightfully should have been reported to the police, including the district attorney friend." According to Teresa, after the diocese spoke with Bob and Eric, Father Ingalls underwent a psychiatric evaluation, and it was determined that he did not fit the profile of a pedophile. So the church closed the investigation due to having, quote, "insufficient grounds." And who even knows, what that psychiatric evaluation, that's such what even that entailed.
Right.
As a disgusting side note, Father Ingalls was eventually promoted to a canon lawyer whose job it is to make sure that the rules of the church order are properly understood and applied. And he apparently even continued to work as a specialist in sexual abuse investigations involving priests and church prosecution.
How does that happen?